Yeah, so I recently got a box of these Civitas Imperialis buildings. And I've just built them up kind of yesterday, and I actually kind of like them. They're kind of neat. So what you get in the box is you get essentially 4 sprues, 2 copies of 2 different sprues. So you get this one, which is a smaller, it's like half the size of the other one, which has essentially the medium-sized buildings. So these are like, oh yeah, so you get 2 of these. So essentially you get, I think, it's a yeah, 10 wall sections and 3 roof sections, and some these triangle bits are basically to make longer bits. Like essentially you can just, there's basically sort of an angular thing there. So what happens is you have each wall section is basically there's basically an angle like this, and you put them together like this, and then these basically sandwich in here, so you have like a block going in a bit, poke out a bit like that with texture, and that's basically holds everything together, and it works quite well. So honestly, like, it's a bit fiddly, but it honestly does work quite well. So no complaints here. So you get this, and you get 2 of these ones as well. So this has 8 wall sections for the big buildings, which I think the medium ones come up to about there. Yeah, and then you get, it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 of the very tiny ones, and you get a bunch of extra supports for everything. Like these, like some fine buttresses, some extra things. I have no idea what this is for. This thing here, I have no idea what it's for. Yeah, I generally don't know what it's for. I think it might be for like a jerk mic. It's probably for something called Titanicus, but I think these are originally made for Titanicus. Yeah, so you get 2 of each of those sprues. This also has 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9 roof sections. Oh, and each of these roof tiles are about they're a bit over 1 inch square. So the footprint of the building's mostly the same. Just the bigger ones have these are big bulgy bits here, so these come out of it. Other than that, they're mostly the same, like footprint wise. So this is the example I've given on the website. So effectively, what the instructions say you can make. You can effectively make 2 big buildings, which is either the one here, which I've made 2 of it, or you can make, I think it's effectively something this sized, and you have the thing, the buttress is coming off there, which is the same amount of wall sections, but it's less less floor space, if that makes sense. It's only 3 tiles instead of 4. But yeah, yeah, so you can make either one of those, or two of each, or 1 of each, or maybe 2 of the different ones. You get effectively 2 medium-sized buildings. So they kind of recommend you make something like, let me go check. Yeah, it's 2 of, yeah, so 2 of those. Yeah, so they recommend either 2 of something this size, which is just really small, or they recommend you can make 2. It's basically, it's a big long, like 4 square one. They also recommend making it a bit higher. They have like a bunch of these smaller pieces on the top to make it slightly higher, which is kind of neat. Yeah, but I think if you make those, so if you just make these ones, or 1 of each even, yeah, so basically what you can get is, if you just make things this sized, you can effectively make 2 of these shaped things, like roughly, and you get an extra 1 of these, which, as you can see here, if you make the long one, if you put a bit on top, you basically lose these completely, 1 of these completely, and you lose 1 of these, so you might lose this one here. But effectively, what I've done is I'll show you mine. So this is mine. So I've got this is the 4x4 and then the 3x1. I've made the long skinny one without the top on it. I made one small one, so I've got an extra little building here. And I've also made effectively this one here. But instead of the recommended instructions basically have a gap in the tiles. They say not to glue the top on, but I just put the tile there that way I can use it separately if I want. And then I made this sort of like weird shaped one, which is neat. With the bits what would be on top of this. The cool thing about all these is they stack. They're like building blocks, like, well, quite literally they're building blocks with adults. There are bits that won't stack. So essentially this long thing here will not go on here. But this small square one or this small square one will go on any of these areas here. This one will go perfectly fine on this, and this one will also go perfectly fine up here. It will probably go there as well, actually. But I've got a door on one of the sides, so it'll be a bit weird. Yeah, so you can basically, yeah, so this thing here will sit up here though. You can basically put that up here if you really wanted to. And if you have enough tiles, you could. If you did want to make the tool one of these, you could make it as 2 different sections. And you can stack them if you wanted to later. Yeah, so I do really like them. You can essentially, yeah, it's just fun. And you can make a bunch of stuff. And yeah, I would say that each box can make maybe about a 2x2 foot square amount of terrain, maybe a bit less. Like if you basically want some other stuff to mix in, but that other than that, it's not too bad. I think the big box they sell, which is meant to be a whole city, is 4 of these plus a box of spires. And the spires themselves could be used as buildings by themselves. But yes, I think that's about right. You definitely do want something other than buildings, I think. Like, yeah, so if you can get rid of the ruins thing, or even just make like a half, like not a complete urban map, so you can have like forests and stuff as well, would be nice. Now, a neat idea I had for storage is this is the box they came in is one of the ones with an insert, but which we're sitting in here. It's too short for big buildings, but it's tall enough for all these others. But theoretically, you should put all these size buildings in this big box, some foam to stop moving around, and then you can put them inside the box itself. So you can just use the box you bought them in just to all your small ones. And for the big ones, you can just use, if you have any of the, so if you bought one of the battle forces, they come in the same size box, but it's slightly thicker. Or if you have like an old tank box, with essentially with the same sort of insert in it, the big ones will fit in those like perfectly. You can do the same thing, just have essentially that. So I think I could probably get another 2 of these boxes and store them all in just 2 boxes, like this one and then the one I've got from the battle force in. And I do eventually empty it out and make a room from it. I think it's just neat. I think price wise they're not too bad. Obviously it'd be a lot cheap. You could easily make buildings yourself for cheaper if you are artistically inclined, or 3D print for cheaper as well. Just you could probably just buy things cheaper. But yeah, I actually do like them. I think that price wise they cost less than a box of the Imperialis box. So like I'm assuming they're going to be close to like $40 for a box. I'll just quickly check. No, they are $52 for the same price as a box. They're like $20 cheaper in New Zealand for some reason. Unless I was looking at things wrong. Oh no, but $5 cheaper in New Zealand. Oh, that's not too bad. $5 cheaper than the boxes in New Zealand. But yeah, I think, yeah. As for other stuff I think I'll just quickly, just give me a second. Yeah, just to go through the other stuff I bought. I've gotten this, I think, is in US dollars. So this is that box down here. They also sell basically spires, which either they plug into the top areas, like this is this, or they can use as individual buildings. So add-on these are slightly cheaper, and they sell the Civitas Imperialis box, which is the cheapest way to get them, as you get 4 of these, which would be $208, and 1 of these. So you're effectively buying 3.5 and getting 1 of these and 1 of these for free. Which again, if you want a full board, it's probably the way to go, but again, it's also a big investment. They also sell ruins, which is kind of neat. It looks like it's just the medium, essentially it's ruined versions of the medium-sized buildings, which again, not too bad. Also some ruined containers. They also sell these city tiles, which I think I might grab some. I wouldn't want to make a full board out of them, because I think you get 6 tiles, they're 1 by 1 foot each. So you get basically a 2 by 3 foot city, which is meant to go fill up. Yeah, and the recommended like 3,000 point game size is 5 by 4 foot. Yeah, so I think what I would do, I'd buy these and then I'd essentially make up a bunch of other tiles, the same, essentially a bunch of other 1 by 1 foot tiles. They're the same thickness, and just make a big modular board of like, use those as the city tiles. I mean, just have some like country tiles as well, and shit like that would be interesting. And then they also sell some industrial stuff, which is sort of the same as it. You can put things on top of buildings like the spires, as well as with some actual like more obstacle terrain, which is kind of neat. Because honestly, I think you definitely either want the ruins or the manufacturing stuff with this, just to make things a bit better. But yeah, obviously you do not need the actual tiles themselves. You can just use just a standard game mat. If you have like one of the neoprene rolled up mats, which are perfectly fine, you just fill it up with terrain and stuff. You can also just make tiles yourself if you want, like if you've got some relatively not too thick, but some decent like either MDF or thick card or cardboard sort of stuff. Not cardboard, but rather, you know what I mean, like not corrugated cardboard, but literal just really thick cardstock. Yeah, I think that's right too. You can effectively glue a bunch of the ruins or buildings on and essentially make your own modular sort of, not necessarily to put them together as a city, but you can just place this as a area of urban stuff that just goes on as a way to just like, this is just all just goes on, and you don't worry about like individually placing things, just make things quicker and probably easier to transport, which is something I was potentially considering doing, which I still might do if I could get. Currently the ruins are out of stock in New Zealand. If I could get some of those, I'd just 100% do that. Because I can't, I kind of need some sort of board thing at some point, like in August, I think November-ish. I'm probably just going to grab the tiles and just go that way. Unless I decide not to, we'll see, because they're kind of expensive. But yeah, that is sort of my thoughts on the Civitas Imperialis buildings, and as well as a rough overview of the other stuff they sell. But yeah, thank you for coming, everyone, and I'll see you all next time.